Ladies and gentlemen, this is Dilly, and Linkin Park's brand new album From Zero has just released, and I'm here to rank it today track by track. Going into this album, I will say I am admittedly a huge Linkin Park fan, have been for a very long time. I actually recently made a video about their new singer Emily Armstrong as well. If you haven't checked that out, please go and do so. It is pretty important to this album because obviously Chester is no longer with us. We have Emily Armstrong in a sense taking his place, not necessarily replacing him, but she is the new singer alongside Mike Shinoda. It's definitely a different sound, and they've put out a couple singles before the album even came out, and gotta say, pretty interested, pretty happy. I'm liking what I'm seeing, and let's get right into the album. Track number 1 is The Emptiness Machine. This was the first single released off the album, and it's for good reason. From beginning to end, this song is absolutely phenomenal. Somehow this song simultaneously makes you cry, smile, pee-pee, poo-poo, and a little bit of caca. I might cut that part out. Like a lot of the other songs on this record, The Emptiness Machine managed to hit as hard as Linkin Park's known to do, while sounding distinct enough to be original. Mike starts off the song with his tonal vocals, bringing a sense of familiarity. We know it's Linkin Park, and we know it's going to be an amazing song. One thing I do want to point out is just, I have a really good feeling Mike Shinoda is going to get the Dave Grohl effect. And no, I don't mean he's gonna cheat on his wife. I feel like every song Linkin Park or Mike makes from this point on is going to be seen as like a love letter to Chester. And I mean, the first time I heard it, hearing all of the emotions that he clearly has in his singing, it definitely felt that way. It felt like he was crying out in a sense. I mean, this is the first track off the first album without Chester, so surely there are still boatloads of grief coming from this process, and they'll definitely be present. With that said, this song, as well as a lot of the other songs on this record, have a very uplifting feel to them as well. This song is a fight through struggle and pain and fighting against this proverbial machine. The track is vague enough to be open to interpretation, like most Linkin Park tracks are. They have a way of making music that everyone can relate to, despite their own experiences. And like I said, I've already spoken my piece on Emily Armstrong. Check out that video if you haven't already. Emily is just so goddamn awesome. I mean, she's just so goddamn good. A great vocalist has great range, and Emily has insane range. The main thing that's always made Linkin Park stand out is the contrast. You have Mike, who obviously does more of like the calm stuff, then you used to have Chester, who kind of did like the higher, like the more growly, aggressive nature stuff. Now you have Emily stepping into that position, and the contrast is still very much there, and it's very much alive. This track really just feels like the future to me. It feels like the start of something really good, and for that reason, The Emptiness Machine gets 10 out of 10. Track 2 is Cut the Bridge. This is another track that just immediately feels familiar. It would be impossible to say this song isn't very similar to tracks like, for example, Bleed It Out, but it still stands out on its own and has its own identity. Another very distinct feature about Linkin Park, and it has always been a thing, is that each of the vocalists kind of have their own songs in a way. Normally they contribute on all of the songs, but normally there's like one song that's Mike's song, and this is a Mike song. This is very Mike forward, which is a great thing. Emily's tone in this song also is a lot more tame, which allows her outstanding singing voice to shine, which is also very, very nice. This is really that range I was talking about. She can scream, but she can also do somber vocals just as well. Cut the Bridge is another very solid track, and it's very much like a fight song. I should mention, I listened to this album first when I was working out, and this track will be staying on my workout playlist for the foreseeable future. The only real complaint I have about this song specifically is the drums. I mean, like, I find quite a few times the drums just sound artificial, I guess. A lot of modern music suffers from this issue. Drums don't really sound like drums anymore. I don't understand why. Other than that, this track is pretty great, and I give Cut the Bridge 8 out of 10. Track number 3 is Heavy is the Crown. If I was reviewing the music video, this would score pretty low. If you haven't seen it, it's League of Legends, and no. That being said, I am judging this song off the song itself, not just the music video. And I will say, this song just hits different, if that makes sense. It doesn't quite feel like any other track on this album, or any other Linkin Park song for that matter. Heavy is the Crown definitely feels a bit commercially. I'm not sure if it's really a bad thing, but you can tell this is likely the one that's going to get the most radio time. A strange analogy, but I would consider this to be like the In Bloom of this album. I really, really hate the fact that I have to think or see League of Legends anytime I listen to the song, but like I said, that won't impact the overall score here. It's strange because I can also envision this song as like a SmackDown theme in 2016. If you understand what I'm talking about there, kudos to you, I guess. Overall, this is another amazing track, and Heavy as the Crown gets a 9 out of 10. Track 4 is Over Each Other. This one is an Emily-only song, and holy shit. How can you hear her voice and think, man, I hate the new Linkin Park singer? Emily is literally, with no hyperbole, one of the greatest vocalists in the game right now. How can she scream like a banshee and be so badass doing that, but also get like really down to earth and just cry out from her soul? She is so goddamn gifted, and we are lucky to have her around. This is another one where you just feel it. It's very open to interpretation, so you can basically feel it no matter what you've been through. Simultaneously, this song reeks of heartbreak, but also overcoming obstacles. It can make you cry, but it can also make you smile. Linkin Park has songs that are heavy vocal-wise, but they also have a lot of songs that are heavy emotion-wise, and this is one of those. And I gotta say, Over Each Other gets a 9 out of 10. Track 5 is Casualty. Holy fucking shit, did she ever put her screaming pants on? As the title implies, being called Casualty, this is probably the heaviest song on the album. Now, I will say, this type of screaming, which, listen, I think it's called fry screaming. I could be wrong, don't fucking quote me. I'm not into this type of screaming in this song. I certainly get the appeal for some people, but it's just, I personally don't love it. I will also say, Mike tries to fit in here, but it doesn't really work. I love Mike to bits, don't get me wrong, but songs like this are definitely favoring Emily's vocal style over his. The contrast is nice and all, but I mean, there's parts that just feel very dull. It's usually Mike's parts, just in comparison to Emily's. This is rare. A song on this album that I won't likely be adding to my playlist. I feel like I'll get some hate for not loving this one, but like I said, it's just not up my alley. If you're into it, you're into it. I'm just personally not. And Casualty gets a 6 out of 10. Track 6 is Overflow. I feel like this track, as well as a couple others here, are gonna get slept on pretty hard. It's probably the most easy listening type song here, and that's pretty nice coming after Casualty. Mike and Emily both put a very different energy into this song, and it's comforting. Mike overpowering isn't very common, but it works really well here. And Emily hitting those high notes is absolutely beautiful. She sounds like a goddamn angel in this song. Both singers provide a remarkable grace to this track, and I'm absolutely here for it. This song just makes me want to like float in a pool. That's all I can really say about it. Overflow gets an 8 out of 10. Very good. Track 7 is Two-Faced. Yes, 2 steps closer. Look, I absolutely love this track. It might even be my favorite track on the record. The music video is so badass, and it is an instant classic when you hear this song. But holy shit, it kind of feels like a One Step Closer ripoff. This is the only song on the record that kind of feels like a ripoff, and I don't really know how I feel about it. It's basically One Step Closer if you ripped it apart, stripped it down, and completely put it back together with different parts. This one is likely going to get tons of flack, guaranteed, but I don't know. I fucking love it. Everyone gives it their all for this one, and it shows. If I recommend any song off this album to anyone with hopes of getting them into new Linkin Park, it's probably gonna be this one. This song just has so much spirit and so much swagger to it. You can't help but fall in love with this one, and for that reason, Two-Faced gets a 10 out of 10. Track 8 is Stained. I thought somehow the track skipped to the Hoa Hoa song from Twilight. I can't tell if the beginning is a sample or an interpolation of the Hoa 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 song, but I very much approve of using Twilight songs here. This is another one that I feel like is just gonna get slept on or forgotten for the most part. Those songs do kind of just exist on every album, so it's not like it's a bad thing, it's just part of the music business. It's very solid, and I know I'll be adding it to my playlist. But that being said, I don't have too much really to say about this one. It feels a lot more like a modern poppy track than the others here, but I don't mind it. It has its own identity. It stands out. It's not just pop garbage. It's definitely a vibe, so I mean, check it out. Stained gets an 8 out of 10. Track 9 is IGYEIH, which stands for I Gave You Everything I Had. We are back into the heavy side of the record, and damn, it feels good. This album is all over the place sound-wise. Nothing wrong with that. Like, there's really a song for every kind of mood on this record. And this one is a big fuck you song, and it does that perfectly. Another one, I don't have too much to say about it. It's a pretty good track, but it does get a bit repetitive at times, which is not great, but it's still nice. I give IGYEIH a 7 out of 10. And track 10, the last track on the album, is Good Things Go. We're going home, folks. They are ending the album with another sad yet uplifting track. This album sends a very clear message. Hard times come, but they pass. You need to fight through the adversity or any challenges that come in your way to get to the light at the end of the tunnel. I will say, ending the record on a bit of a happier note would have been nice, but this definitely works, and I give Good Things Go a 7 out of 10. Well, everyone, that was From Zero by Linkin Park. Very highly anticipated album, and I would say it really delivered. It was very good. I had a very good time listening to it. I listened to it at least 2 or 3 times writing this script just to make sure I didn't really miss out any notes. I mean, there's definitely a couple songs that I didn't really have too much to say about them because they're kind of just self-explanatory in a lot of ways. But I mean, for the most part, like, this is a really good album. I don't know if I'd go as far as calling it perfect. I mean, there's definitely a couple songs that are lacking a little bit. But I mean, for the most part, like, it's as close to a perfect album as you get in 2024. It's not common at all to get anywhere near that. So, very good showing for everyone here involved. Emily is so amazing, like I said. I could not speak her praises enough. Mike Shinoda, obviously, still kicking ass. Everyone else is kicking ass too. It's just so happy for me to hear Linkin Park being back, making new music, going and doing tours. Like, I'm so excited that this is the time period we live in. Everyone is still here for the most part. Obviously, Chester's not here, and that's sad. It's a big blow to everybody. But with this album and with new Linkin Park, they're moving on, but they're honoring Chester's legacy at the same time. They're not replacing him. They're not shitting on him. They're just moving on. It's been 7 long years. I'm sure everyone has been chomping at the bit to do something new with the band. And, you know, they took their time with it, and that's perfectly fine. They needed that time to really come to grips with everything. And I think that alone made this an even better product. It made it an even better album. And there's not really anything better I can say about this. Like, I cannot say anything more great about this album. It is just so good. Amazing. Please listen to it if you haven't already. It is on Spotify, of course, all streaming platforms, I'm sure. And yeah, I look forward to getting this album on fucking vinyl. Like, I want to own this. I want to have it physically. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of the album in the comments below. Make sure to leave a comment, and subscribe. Click the bell so you know every time I post, and follow me on social media at This Is Dilly. Check out my gaming channel as well, Dilly Plays. I just posted a Here Comes the Pain video on Friday. That was pretty cool. Yeah, go check it out. But anyway, I've been your host as always. This is Dilly, signing out.